Let's rank the worst contracts in Major League Baseball. Me and James came up with our 10 worst active contracts as of the time of recording. We're going to go from 10th worst to the absolute worst in baseball. And let me tell you, going through this list, James, there are some crazy contracts that I honestly even forgot were signed. And looking back on it, it's like the scene from Step Brothers. It's like at first, like the suits were kind of cool, but like now it's just messed up.
Yeah, and want to do this now as free agency has begun. We have the first big signing in Josh Naylor, just so you guys can hope your team doesn't wind up on one of these lists. And
Think the Josh Naylor signing is good, by the way.
Josh Naylor signing great signing for everyone there. Not just saying, just so you know, we're in free agent fever right now. So just to remind
Yes.
you guys of the bad times of free agency. But I do have a confession. I have one non-active contract on here, but it just ended. I had to sneak it on.
One non-active contract that just ended. Okay, well,
Yeah,
who is it? Sorry, where'd you put him?
it's my number 10, so we'll go right here.
There you go. Put him at number 10.
Oh wait, no, one more year. I forgot there's one more year in this contract. It's Nick Castellanos in the Phillies.
He was my number 10 as well.
Nice.
Yeah,
This
nice.
this contract is fucking deplorable, guys. Nick Castellanos has 5 for 100, and he's been worth under one WAR for 4 seasons.
I think we have the exact same notes. I put literally what he accumulated in terms of value and stats over
Yeah.
his contract so far. The Phillies are going to trade him, but maybe not because I don't know who in their right mind would take Nick Castellanos and pay him $20 million.
Well, that was reported. I don't know if that was in one of Passan's recent articles or somebody else's, maybe Feinstein, but they basically said the Phillies have offered to pay almost the whole thing and no one
Whoa.
wants him.
Yeah, no, he's terrible. Point 0.8 F4 over the 4 years that he's played in the contract so far. 100 WRC plus, so he's been league average at the plate, 732 OPS. He's done some of the counting number stuff, but we know he's horrible in right field. The bat has declined drastically since he signed the contract. This one, like, you could look back and be like, part of the reason why the Phillies haven't been able to make any noise is because they have $20 million a year going to Nick Castellanos.
He basically wound up as a weak side platoon outfielder this year
Yeah,
to Max
that's
Kepler.
bad.
He was only playing against lefties and making $20 million. It's egregiously bad.
Yeah, right. And he hates Rob Thompson too, which is also just like a fun little wrinkle to that entire Phillies debacle right now.
Right. And I got number 9. I have a feeling this guy might be on your list too, because I know you do not like him. But Masataka Yoshida.
I considered having him on here. The reason I left him off was because while I don't really like him as a player, he's still fine enough at the plate. Like he's never been so bad where I think like, oh my God, what in the world's happening? But in terms of guys who can't play the field, he is pretty valueless for the bat that he has. But it's still what, like 15, $18 million a year? How much does it come out to?
It's $18 million a year. It's actually basically the exact same deal that Seiya Suzuki signed. So
Yes.
just seeing those two back to back next to each other, it's like that. It really kind of puts it into perspective how bad this Yoshida contract is, especially with the fact that, like you just said, he can't play the field. There's a real world where the Red Sox kind of got forced into trading Rafael Devers because of this Masataka Yoshida contract. Like this,
Literally. Which
this
doesn't really make sense, but
no, but yeah, it doesn't make sense. But it's just because they have this guy, they can't really do anything with him. They can send him to the minor leagues, but I think that would be kind of a strange situation. But it's just
how many more years does he have left on that contract?
it was a 5 year deal originally, so he has two more full seasons left
Two
on
full
it.
seasons. Okay, so that's like about $36 million next
Yeah,
2 years. I think, I mean, the Red Sox sent him down to AAA this year. The Red Sox have done that a shocking amount where they sign these guys to these international free agents to
Rusney.
massive contracts and they don't play at the major league level.
Yeah, shout out Rusney Castillo, but also just the fit and the archetype of player Masataka Yoshida is. Again, you knew he was never going to be able to play the field for you, and you knew he was never going to be able to hit for power. So you best case scenario signed a 15 homer bat with a 290, 300 average, 350 on base percentage for $18 million a year to clog up your DH spot. That's just not prudent
It's like
business.
just have Luis Arias at that point.
Let that spot rotate. You could Kyle Schwarber would be on this team by now if that contract was never signed.
My number 9 is going to be much higher on your list, but I still love this guy as a player. But I mean, he has to go on here. Mike Trout, 12 years,
Way higher on my list.
$426 million. I think you're going to have him towards the top, and I think that's fair. I still think there's a world where Mike Trout can bounce back, and he's never going to go back to the player that he was. It's just not possible. But I think he can still be a valuable offensive player to a team, and I would like to see what happens next season after a full year of being at the DH spot. But it's tough to see 12 years, $426 million. Mike Trout becomes a free agent in 2031 and be like, yeah, you're going to throw like 30 plus $1 million a year at a guy who maybe plays 100 games a year. It's a tough contract in retrospect, but it's all because of injuries. At the time when they signed it, you had to make that move. The problem that makes this contract bad is all the years from now until 2031. Unless he starts taking steroids and becomes the player that he used to be.
I guess, but I mean, there's been 7 seasons since Mike Trout signed that contract, and he's played in 580 games.
Yeah, it's shocking. Like those games, they've been good quality. This was really the only first time that he had like a real drop this year in terms of how he played. But that's such a few amount of games in 7 years.
And it also makes sense to have the drop based on the fact that how much older he's getting. And I have a few more things to say about Mike Trout, who again is much higher on my
Yeah, you'll
list.
save him. You'll save him. All right,
Yeah.
number 8. I'm going to jump to number 8 now. Similar ilk, but not on the hook for as long as Mike Trout. Giancarlo Stanton,
Okay.
and it's simply from a fact of the amount of money that he's cost just in general. And I know this next couple of years he's not going to be actually that expensive for the Yankees because the Marlins I think are technically covering 10 million of the 25 that he's due. But that contract became an albatross just because Stanton could not play the field anymore. He was hurt all the time. When he plays, he is still fantastic. There's no doubt that he is an awesome hitter when he's on the field. But it does feel like for this Yankees team to be able to have that flexibility to maybe put Aaron Judge at DH sometimes, maybe they could have been more in on Juan Soto, giving him a little more money than the Mets, but they're broke, so we know they can't go higher than Steve Cohen. Like, there's different scenarios where this Giancarlo Stanton contract weirdly has handcuffed this Yankees team from probably being a better version of themselves.
Yeah, it's the same concept as what we just talked about with Yoshida. Whereas when you sign a one-dimensional player like this, or the Yankees traded for him in their case, and again they got him for nothing, and they got some
Yes.
really seriously good Giancarlo Stanton seasons.
Awesome
But
times, yeah.
what's happened over these last few years that has clogged up simply a roster spot? Like money is money, especially these teams at the top of payroll. They can spend as much money as they want, and a few of them do. Not many of them, but a few of them do. It's the roster spot that becomes kind of
Yes.
tough to rationalize. Where here's a guy that Chris Collinsworth, here's a guy,
Here's
but
a guy.
until this year, Giancarlo Stanton, you were like, I don't know if he's actually is an elite hitter anymore, and he can never play the field. He actually tried to play the field this year. Maybe that made him a better hitter, but it's just what you can wind up doing with your 26. You get fewer options when you have Giancarlo Stanton just clogging up one of those.
So who do you have at number 8?
This guy might be higher on your list, but this is a seriously bad contract. There's just so many bad contracts in baseball right now that this one couldn't find its way into my top even 7. But you, Darvish.
Okay, I thought about it. I looked at what he's owed for the next 2 seasons, though, and it is a little bit lower. But I do think you're going off of luxury tax, right? I was going off of strict dollars.
Yeah, so I did my whole list based on what guys do under what they're being referenced for the luxury tax.
And I
Because
think that's fair.
I think that means more than the payroll because I don't care about a few more millions coming out of a billionaire's pocket. I'm looking at how these
Brooklyn James
contracts,
right there.
how these contracts affect team building. And a guy like you, Darvish, who I mean, just credit to his agent for signing a 6-year extension at 36 years old.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Joe Wolf at Wasserman. You'll never see one of these again
No.
because you Darvish again, 36 years old. He's coming off 2 great seasons when he. I mean, actually not. He's coming off some okay seasons where he had 160 innings, 190 innings. He had a 4.2 ERA and a 3.1 ERA, and the strikeouts went down. The fastball velocity was going down. Somehow he was like, "Yeah, 6-year extension, re-up, get this Padres money when they're really trying to push all in and win." And now we have under 300 innings in 3 seasons from you, Darvish, and he's about to miss this whole season too. Still $18 million against the luxury tax. He was awful last year as well. Under 94 miles an hour for the first time in about a decade with his fastball velocity. It's a bad deal and shocking to have a pitcher signed through age 42.
Yeah, no, like in terms of the theoretics of that contract and then also what it's turned into, it's insane that they signed him at 36 for that contract. It doesn't really make any sense, and he doesn't get to pitch against the Mets every single time, so we know that he
No.
becomes a little more human in that aspect.
I'm actually shocked you didn't have him on your list. Now I'm curious about who you're going to have and I'm not going to have.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I think again, I think you went a little more like long term, and I think that's fine because that you Darvish one was one I struggled with taking off. I also like you Darvish. I don't know. I didn't want to
I
talk
love you,
poorly on
Darvish.
him.
Yeah.
At number 7, I'm interested to see if you had this guy on here, Erod, Eduardo Rodriguez.
No, but I thought about him because
Yep.
it's bad.
It's a bad contract. 4 years, $80 million with the Arizona Diamondbacks, and he basically hasn't had a single moment of being good since he stepped into Arizona. And again, you don't like to take shots at like the guy's fitness, but he's looked chunky. He's looked unprepared. He has thrown, what is it? He's thrown 200 innings in 2 seasons of a 5 ERA. The underlying numbers are putrid. They're horrible. The Diamondbacks win baseball games in spite of him, but when you look back at like these last couple seasons, what has gone wrong for the Diamondbacks? Big reason has been him, and then it would have also been Jordan Montgomery if he was still under contract.
Yeah, it's funny enough. Eduardo Rodriguez has a top, let me do a quick count here. It's like a top 25 total value pitcher contract in all of baseball.
Yeah.
Just when you're like the executives all in the room together talking, you have to be like, Does this make sense? Does this actually make sense? Should we put him in this range?"
And it's the classic thing too that we're starting to see now, and that's why people get worried about these starting pitchers once they turn over the age of 30. For a guy like Erod who never had elite velo or even really threw that many innings besides 2019 in his life where he threw 200, he fell off a cliff ever since he signed that contract. He's been horrendous, and there was always a world where this happened, but because he was pitching for good teams at times, people thought he was an ace, and that was kind of got fooled.
And you were kind of hoping with him, like, especially like a few years at Fenway Park, like, yeah, maybe we'll be able to like, maintain a low ERA forever. But no, Erod, always bad stuff. Very happy to not be on the wrong side of that contract. My number seven was Giancarlo Stanton, too.
Yep.
Just another quick mention about Stanton. 2022, 2023, 2024, when the Yankees were very close to assembling a World Series contending team for most of those years, besides 2023. That was a really bad year for them. But over those 3 years, he had a 291 on base percentage
Yeesh.
in almost 1,400 plate appearances
Yikes.
at that average annual value that we said before. So it's at, just to again remind you guys, 25 million per. So you just to have that guy taking up a roster spot for that much money when you still have that many years on the contract, it's almost untenable for team building.
It's pretty impossible. Number
What they
6, James.
what they say? Yankees have the worst roster construction in the league.
He's the
Like
worst roster construction he's ever seen.
I think that's a big reason why. My number six. This is one that at the time you never would have caught me saying this, but right now after what we just saw, I'm saying this with my chest. Aaron Nola.
Ooh, I considered him because this past season was such a disaster. When you look back, you're like, you're gonna be paying like 38-year-old Aaron Nola $25 million. I don't know about that one, Chief.
And it's a question where I think we've kind of learned this the last few years. Like, oh, a guy like Aaron Nola, touch, feel, knuckle curveball, like he'll be able to sustain this really good pitching forever, in perpetuity. But when a guy like Aaron Nola kind of sits around 92, 93, and then this year you drop to 90, 91, everything falls apart really, 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 really quickly. And Aaron Nola has the one, two, three, four, five, six, seventh most guaranteed money to him for any pitcher in baseball.
Uh,
More than Garrett Crochet, more than Zach Wheeler just had, but that's a little different. I mean, it's a bad, bad, bad contract.
Yeah, that's a really bad one. Not on my list. Feel like I missed that one a little bit, but I do have another Phillies pitcher as my number 6. It is funny how we've been in sync with Phillies at each of our spots. Taiwan Walker.
I thought
At the
about
at the
this.
moment they signed it, we knew like having him on the Mets, we liked Taiwan, but we knew the pitcher he was. He'd give you a good first half, and in the second half he'd get hurt, he'd fall apart, he'd be useless. And for the Phillies, he's basically been useless for the entirety of the contract. Another big reason why they haven't been able to get over the hump is having $72 million over 4 years tied up to Taiwan Walker, who, again, statistically, over that contract has been one of the worst pitchers in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, see, very different. I kind of did focus much more on these like higher end contracts. And these
Yeah.
guys like Nola is going to be 30 years old, making $25 million. When last year, the lowest slugging percentage against any of his individual pitches was 430. But you have it's crazy 530 slugging against Aaron Nola's fastball last year. But
Yeah.
a guy like Taiwan, similar to Erod, and we talk about this sometimes with someone who's not on this list, but won't be on this list ever, but it's in the same realm as those guys, thankfully for less years, and Sean Manaea, is that the dangers you can get into as an executive when you shop in that middle tier of pitchers. Something that we just saw the Mets cut Frankie Montas 2 years
Yeah.
into a 1 year into a 2 year $34 million deal. It's like that range of pitcher AAV between 15 million and like 23 million is such a death sentence. It's kind of terrifying to see your team sign a guy there where you're like, oh, like another one. I don't think he's on my list. He's not on my list. I don't know if he's going to be on your list. Like Luis Severino making 23 million
Yeah,
a year.
I considered him, but because like also the conversation too of like where he pitches, that he kind of got
Yeah,
fucked by that a little bit
totally.
too.
Totally. But again, this range of pitcher is just it's a scary,
Terrifying.
scary place to be. And I am happy we're different. We have different lists. And you have two guys in that range.
Yeah, no, Taiwan Walker, in his time with the Phillies, by the way, he has made 80. He's honestly pitched too much. I think that's one of those weird ones where like you're not getting hurt enough. He's thrown almost 400 innings, has a 4.8 ERA, a
Oh.
FIP at 5.42, a WHIP at 1.4. Like his best role, when he was like in relief, he was actually okay, but as a starter, he was really bad.
And there was a situation in 2024 where they seemed like Taiwan was still in their rotation because of the money he was making, and the Phillies had Spencer Turnbull working as a swingman, who their fans were just begging to start. And like,
Yeah.
if you have a big like insurgency of your fans, like you're going for Spencer Turnbull, it's like that's how bad the fifth starter actually is.
All right, James. Number 5. Let's get the top 5 started. Who do you got there?
Number 5 is where I have Javier Baez.
Okay.
Javier Baez is on a 6-year, $140 million contract. Do you want to know his stats with the Tigers since he signed that deal?
Yeah, give them to me.
It's a 229 average, 267 on base percentage,
It's pretty good.
359 slug, 73 WRC plus, and over 4 seasons worth 3 wins above replacement.
Yeah. Javi's obviously on my list. He's the next spot at number 4. So I'll
Yeah.
briefly just talk about Javi too. Like, in the moment, we knew what happened with the Mets was fool's gold. He became a hitter that he never once was for more than the time that he played with the Mets. It was crazy. He became patient, crushed balls, was taking pitches, playing elite second base defense. And then he went to the Tigers, and it was like, don't really remember how I played baseball. Like, Javi was always a guy that played with like emotion on his sleeve, kind of crazy, like chicken without his head. And then it seems like he went to Detroit. He struggled and immediately lost, like, for all you TikTok kids out there, he lost all his aura. He's got no aura anymore, Javi Baez.
I think this year he rediscovered some of that aura by like
Ish.
becoming a good center fielder, but then the bat, of course, fell apart again. And there's always a number that like a lot of people who like enter these front offices mention, like dollars per win. When you're signing free agents, you're looking at dollars per win. I think the average going rate for dollars per win in baseball is around between 8 and 10 million, depending on if you include relief pitchers in your dollar per win calculation. Javier Baez 3 WAR for $92 million, $30 million per win, when the league
Oh,
average is around 7 to 10.
that's
30
yeah.
million.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really, really bad. And it's one of those too where it's like it sucks because that definitely turns the Tigers ownership from like trying and taking more shots like this.
But that's also a bad shot to take. A big
That
thing.
we knew in the moment because when the
Yeah,
Mets we're like, please Lindor, stay out of this, please. We don't want Javi back. We got the 1,000th percentile outcome from Javi Baez. He'll never be close to that again.
yeah. Big part with a lot of the contracts, I think both of us picked, but from different ends of the spectrum. Is that the second these were signed, you kind of went, ugh.
You're like, what?
Like Nick Castellanos, $100 million. Really? You give Javi Baez 6 years? Like, why would you do something like that?
One of those. That's my number 5. When this one happened, I think I almost fell out of my chair. I couldn't even believe it at the moment. And I believe it is the biggest contract that this organization has given out in free agent history. Andrew Benintendi, 5 years, $75 million. This is a disturbingly bad contract. He has 2 full seasons left on this where he's getting paid money to play baseball. He has accumulated .3 FWAR over his time so far with the White Sox, and he plays a lot. He is healthy. The guy plays way too much, 94 WRC plus, and ever since he got to the White Sox, he's forgotten how to play the outfield. Statistically, one of the worst defensive outfielders in baseball throughout his 3 years so far with the White Sox. For a guy who used to be awesome out in the outfield, he got his money and seemingly was like, I think I'm good.
That's it.
That's it.
I missed Andrew Benintendi, and you were right. That is the biggest full dollars the White Sox have ever given to a player.
Crazy.
Which is
Andrew fucking Benintendi. In the moment, it was like, wait, this really? Like, you're taking the guy who hits like 270?
Even last year, he like maintained like a 110 WRC plus for about half the season. People were like, oh, actually, this isn't so bad anymore. But it's good on you because I totally missed the Andrew Benintendi.
Yep. I had Javier Baez at 4. Who did you have at 4?
Mike Trout.
Yep. Okay. I mean, for all the same reasons, he's got old man bones and muscles.
And it's just he got 5 years left on this Mike Trout contract. He can't really move anymore. Can't play the outfield anymore. A miracle he got to 130 games last year, and even still is not. I mean, like Mike Trout, seeing Mike Trout be like a 20% better hitter than league average
It's
is kind of
depressing.
shocking. And even just he's only 33 years old.
Yeah.
There's a lot of 33-year-olds who are much more spry and limber than Mike Trout, and you got 5 more years of this.
I would, and it never was going to happen. I would love to see what happens if Mike Trout ever left the Angels, though. I feel like that's his chance to make this contract not suck.
But I think that's going to wind up being like the craziest, imagine that story of our sports lives. Because I've
Yeah.
always told you this, like Mike Trout signing that contract with the Angels was a pure admission by himself that he never cared about winning. Because
Which is
everything,
fair.
again, maybe we'll do a video about this over the next month or so. Everything we're learning about this Angels franchise in the ongoing court case right now, again, still alleged, but still people are saying, to say I'm going to sign up for what 14, 12 years
12
of that.
years. I mean,
You're saying I'm never going to win, and that's okay with me.
now I will say, Shohei Ohtani also wanted to sign back with the Angels, too. And then he went to the Dodgers, got paid. But
Tremendous weather in Orange County, California.
Anaheim's great.
Beautiful place. I will say that, but I mean, to show I really want to go to the Angels, come on.
Probably not.
You know he's not in this list, Shohei Ohtani.
Of
That's
course not.
maybe then we'll do best contracts in baseball. 'Cause he's
Shohei Ohtani, number
number
one.
one, not even close. All right,
Aaron Judge, number two.
who's your number three?
My number three is someone who I think is going to be your number one, and it's going to be old Xander Bogaerts.
Nope, he's my three.
Oh, nice.
We're gonna have the same 3-2-1.
I think we are. 11 years, $280 million to Xander Bogaerts was insane. And it's not that Xander isn't a good baseball player. It's how this contract is going to age like milk in the San Diego sun. It's insane to pay a guy who's, I mean, this year he actually was good defensively at shortstop, but
Great.
at the time when they signed it, never for a second good defensively at shortstop. We knew the bat really wasn't that sticky. Got a lot of help from playing in Fenway. And the Padres, who didn't need to spend $300 million on another middle infielder, were like, give me that 30-year-old guy who can't really play shortstop that well for the next 11 seasons. It was an absurdly, it's the length of the contract. Why is he signed through 2034?
No, I mean, just to get the AAV down, we know that for a
Or
fact. But
2033, my bad.
yes, Xander Bogaerts signed until he's 40 years old. And that's a big theme with some of these very bad contracts is if the guy is still under the contract when they're 40. I think that's a huge differentiating factor between what makes some of these contracts bad and what
Like-
makes some of these contracts be like, holy shit, that's bad.
I could see Xander Bogaerts having a couple more good seasons for sure, but
Easily.
when he's like 36, 37, 38 getting paid this money, you're going to be like, how in the world did this ever happen?
And again, this was clearly a moment where there were a lot of teams in baseball that were advanced in the way they thought about free agents and free agent value, and some that were not. Because anyone, just if you can go on www.baseballsavant.com, you can go to Park Factor, see that Fenway Park is one of the best ballparks for boosting hits, singles, and doubles for a right-handed batter. And Petco Park in San Diego is one of the worst. And right there, you could see that very simply. Xander Bogaerts is not a fit for my team on a 10-year contract. For some reason, the Padres ignored those facts, signed this contract, and now they could be in a world where they have to shed an elite player like Fernando Tatis Jr. to acquiesce the contract of Xander Bogaerts.
Yeah, because nobody's taking that contract from them.
Hell no. Xander Bogaerts, even just the 3 first years he's had in a Padres uniform. Again, there's been some injuries over there, and he did pull up the nose big time with the glove this year, and he was a good defensive second baseman, so hopefully that's a way he can save this deal. But just being 107 WRC plus for that kind of contract, it's not good at all.
No, not at all. Number 2, James, I went with Chris Bryant of the Colorado Rockies.
Okay, no, I did Rendon.
Okay, well, I think that's my number 1. Anthony Rendon. Was Chris Bryant your number 1?
Chris Bryant was my number 1.
All right, let's talk about them both. Let's go Chris Bryant first. 7 years, $182 million to the Colorado Rockies. At the time, you were like, whoa, Rockies, Chris Bryant spending the money. And Chris Bryant, at least to me, always felt like he was a great player, but for some reason just never really got me excited. Like, he put up some awesome seasons with the Cubs, and I don't want to say that we knew he was going to deteriorate and become a fraud in the way that he has and the way that he's played, because he's had crazy injuries. But for the Rockies to make that the guy, it was like, I feel like that was a little bit risky.
Yeah, especially because the writing was a bit on the wall for Chris Bryant. Like, Chris Bryant is a sad case where the first few years of a player's career were very clearly the best.
Yes.
Then we saw the swing and miss get a little crazy a few years later. We saw the power not be the same way it was when he first entered the league. We just saw a lot less consistency. And while we're seeing that, he was moved off third base because the defense there got so bad. Even that trade deadline 2021, remember when the Cubs were selling off their parts? I was like, Chris Bryant's the guy I don't want as the Mets were trying to kind of save their season. It really did feel like this was whoever signed Chris Bryant, it was going to be a disaster. And then the Rockies did it, and it became to me, by far the worst contract in baseball and one of the worst contracts we've ever seen signed. He's played 170 games in 4 seasons with an 80 WRC plus.
Yeah.
He made $100 million. He still owed $80 million more dollars.
Yeah, the length thing could be why, like, how it's still getting paid. Because at the time, like, I think when we compare Anthony Rendon's contract and Chris Bryant's, without considering like the future now, I think you'd be like Anthony Rendon was the worst contract. I think looking at current day, because Anthony Rendon becomes a free agent after next season, I'm cool with putting Chris Bryant at 1. But man, looking at that Anthony Rendon one, I honestly just feel bad for the Angels in this one, because Anthony Rendon was like a top 10. He was a top 10 player in baseball when they signed that contract. He got paid and literally said, fuck you, Anaheim. I don't give a shit about you. I don't care about baseball. I got my money, and I'm going to do absolutely nothing to earn it.
So, do you have Anthony Rendon's stats in front of you right now?
No, I don't.
Okay, so don't pull up that page. I want you to guess the most games Anthony Rendon has played in a season as a member of the
I
Angels.
actually think I know this. I think he played 56 games in the COVID season. I think that's the most games he played.
Yeah, it's 58,
Damn,
and
that was a good guess.
it was the season after the COVID season.
Okay, okay.
He played 52 in the COVID season, 58 in 2021, 47 in 2022, 43 in 2023, and 57 in 2024.
It's like it that one hurts. Like he shouldn't have been this bad. He shouldn't have been getting hurt. There were no signs that this would happen. Like the years that he put up with the Nationals from 2017 to 2019, that's like one of the best stretches a third baseman has had in baseball history.
He also had was competing for the short season MVP award in 2020. Like before
Yeah.
the pandemic happened, like he was still like, oh, this is gonna be a great player. By far the most WAR that Anthony Rendon's ever accumulated in a single season with the Angels was the 2020 season. Just to
Yes.
put in perspective how little baseball this guy has played. It's almost like alarming. It's sad for the game. It's sad for I'm sure for Rendon himself because while he's been not on the field, piss poor when he's been on the field, he's been combative. He's been rude.
Fought a fan.
He's just kind of not a good guy.
He's
For
an
him to
asshole.
yeah, for him to have taken this money, taken the end of Mike Trout's prime, kind of ruined what could have been a fun team with him, Shohei, and Mike Trout together. It was really just kind of despicable what
Um,
happened with Anthony Rendon.
Yeah, he's over the last 3 seasons, he's played 147 games for the Angels. He has 7 home runs. He's hitting 227 with a 646 OPS.
He's
That's insane.
he's also almost at the max contract NBA salary of $1 million per game that Shea Gilgeous
Yeah.
Alexander is going to sign soon. $210 million earned on this contract heading into the last year for 257 games played.
It's disturbing, his contract. And that's one I feel very bad for Angels fans. Like you got Mike Trout, and that one stinks because of the injuries, but like unlucky that happened, that his body deteriorated so rapidly like it did. Anthony Rendon not only hasn't played any games, doesn't have any interest in playing games. He took 200 plate appearances this year. Didn't hit a home run.
No, last year.
No. Oh yeah, he didn't play in 2025. That's 2024.
Yeah,
Holy shit. I didn't
He
even
skipped the whole
realize that.
year.
I forgot.
yeah.
Oh man.
He was trying to make a bunch of contact last
Does-
year, and then
does-
2 years ago, yeah, he was almost a league average hitter.
Does he play this year?
Fuck no.
Doesn't play a single game.
Why
Over,
would he play?
over under half a game for Anthony Rendon.
For the rest of his career, he has no interest. He's not determined to be a baseball player ever again.
What is this even comparable to? Like who's a guy that signed a contract and stopped playing baseball? Is there anybody
mean-
or sports?
Let's think of some basketball guys. I mean, remember how little Eddie Curry played after that
That
deal
was
with
the
Knicks?
first one that came to my mind was Eddie Curry. I was like, they signed him and they were like, what if you play 11 games a season?
That's what I can really think of. I
When
mean,
they
so,
like sat Marbury maybe a little
mean,
bit too.
Barry Zito had a few
Ooh!
really good seasons. What?
Ben Simmons?
Ben Simmons is a similar one, but Ben Simmons had a year or 2 on that contract, but he's also quit playing basketball. He also made more money.
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably just had to go to a different sport to kind of figure this one out. But it's kind of unbelievable what's happened with Anthony Rendon. I still
And-
think the Chris Bryant contract's worse.
I think that's fair. I think at this exact moment, because of the length, yes.
Oh,
I
for
think
sure,
I
yeah.
think looking at them as a whole, like when both are said and done, I think you're gonna be like Anthony Rendon is the worst contract in baseball history.
I mean, Anthony Rendon's going to play significantly more games than Chris Bryant under similar contracts.
Does Chris Bryant play this year?
I mean, have you heard the stuff coming out about him?
No. What's his
Does-
deal?
Doesn't seem like it. They're like he's trying really hard. He's seen tons of doctors. We don't know what the
That's-
future holds.
That's also why I can't put him at one, is because I feel like Chris Bryant is actually really, really trying very hard, and I think he like genuinely is upset he's not playing baseball. Where Anthony Rendon hates the game.
But I think the big difference is that I mean, I guess does that make the contract better or worse? You know,
I don't know.
you signed both these guys to 7-year deals.
As someone who had a third baseman who couldn't stay healthy because of
Yeah.
crazy shit going on, I sympathize with Chris Bryant because I think he wants to be back, where Anthony Rendon is just a dick.
Yeah, that's true. But then what makes the contract worse from the team's perspective? The fact that there were really no issues when the Angels signed Anthony Rendon, or the fact that there were the beginning of some slight issues when the Rockies signed Chris Bryant.
And two of the dumbest organizations in sports.
They both have 7-year contracts. Like, it's kind of crazy to scroll around and see how long some of these contracts are. Just to go through some honorable mentions now.
Yeah.
I wanted to throw the Brandon Nimmo contract on here because in terms of players who have 8-year contracts in Major League Baseball, Brandon Nimmo, I think, is the furthest from being an elite baseball player.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I had the Jung-Hoo Lee contract on here.
I had that one too because he's just so whatever. He's like good defensively in center field, but
No, he's not.
I thought he graded. What does he grade well on? How does he accumulate any WAR then?
I think they expected him to grade well in center field. He's accumulated like no WAR in his 2 years in Major League
I
Baseball.
thought he had
Really,
like a
1
two.
year
I
because he
thought he had
missed
like
almost the whole for a
a
year.
2 year or a 2 WAR year last season.
I think
That's
he
not a
has like a
lot,
I
but
think he had like a 1.8 and he's making $18 million. It's pretty horrible. I think they expected him to be a really good center field defender. And he hit like I think it was 68 or 69 home runs in his 7 years in Korea, and 23 came in 1 year and 15 came the year before that.
yeah.
So I think that the Giants were squinting and was like, huh, if we can at least get good center field defense, we could find some of that power. Now we have a real player. And now he has 4 more years, 19 million per, and he
He
kind of
was
doesn't do much.
he was serviceable though last year. You just don't want that
Oh,
price tag. Yeah.
totally serviceable baseball player, and he's a fan favorite, and we love that for them. But it's like you have a corner out, you have a plus defending corner outfielder who's going. You have a worse version of Stephen Kwan.
Blue Jays have a couple guys for honorable mentions in Andres Jimenez, Anthony Santander, and I think you might even be able to maybe sneak Jose Barrios in there too because he's been totally mid. But like
Yeah,
you have to see a little bit more from those guys, and that's why we didn't include them as well. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Key Brian Hayes is like that's a crazy contract that he gets paid any money.
your boy Yuki Matsui
Yeah,
holding the Padres hostage.
that one's sick though. That's a dog contract right there. Padres signed some of the worst contracts in baseball.
And then two other good reliever honorable mentions. Just remind people as we head into free agency, if your team signs a high price reliever to a multi-year contract, it's not always the best thing.
That's not Edwin Diaz.
Yeah, Robert Stevenson, Rafael Montero.
Yeah,
Those two guys getting like 3 years, like 45 million per. I
I
think
think you
Stevenson's
ask
maybe 38.
Dodgers fans
Bad.
about Tanner Scott, they'd probably say that's one of the worst ones they've ever signed.
It's pretty bad. Like give it, I thought about it. But I was like, Dodgers don't care. Who cares?
Yeah, they don't care.
But it's just, there's some bad contracts in this league. As a reminder of everyone, have fun during free agency.
Yeah, have fun. When your team signs a guy, remember this could be one of the worst contracts in baseball, and nothing's more fun than that.
Is there a chance anyone from the circuit can become one of the worst contracts in baseball?
Ooh, prediction: who could become one of the worst contracts in baseball on the free agent market this year? I am leaning towards.
I think there's three that can.
I think. Oh man, who's going to get paid enough? That's the real question to make
I
it
say
bad.
maybe there's actually four that can.
Like Ranger could be
Yeah,
one of them, just because he
Ranger
doesn't
for
throw
sure.
many innings and his velo is mega down.
If Ranger gets a 6-year contract, he will be in contention for this list. But I don't think anyone's giving him a 6-year
I don't
contract.
think so either. Maybe Bellinger.
I was going to say if Bellinger gets a 6-year deal for the wrong ballpark, he could definitely wind up on this list.
I could also like see. I could see Eugenio Suarez. Like if he gets like 4 years,
I don't think anyone's doing that though.
he's 34. I don't know. Never count out the Rockies and
If
the
the Rockies
Angels.
might, yeah, I guess that's true. Back 1 and 2 on this list. The Devil's Advocate. There's a chance Kyle Tucker winds up on this list.
Theoretically,
If Kyle Tucker signs an 11 for 450, which I think is basically what Tim Britton predicted him for at the Athletic, like Kyle Tucker could wind up being Xander Bogaerts adjacent in a few years.
could be. I would.
Could be.
I'm still betting that he won't. But
Me too.
anytime you sign a contract that expensive, it has the chance to.
That's the thing. Devil's advocating it because if he gets Soto, Judge, Otani money, he's not Soto, Judge, Otani. He's a step below those guys. So I think
No.
that's relevant. And if
And also,
Framber- there's a
Dylan.
chance for Amber.
Framber and Dylan Cease too, both.
Yeah, I guess they both could. And honestly, if Edwin gets to 5 years, there's a chance as well.
Yeah.
There's definitely a chance. Same with Josh Hader. There's a chance. We'll see how he recovers from the shoulder, elbow last
But
year,
also-
whatever it was.
If you're a team that likes to spend money, we honestly don't really give a shit. So
Yeah, honestly, the point of baseball games is to win, not to not wind up on the wind-ups worst contracts list when we do it again in a few years.
exactly. And if the Angels sign Luis Arias to an 8-year deal for $200 million, put that one on there too.
You know who wasn't close to this list? Corey Seager and Marcus Semien because they got rings.
They got rings. Those are winners right there. All
Rafael,
these. Did anybody on the guys on this list? Nobody's won a ring, right? Not with the team that they're with. No, they've all been not
mine.
winners.
no rings. It's a ringless list besides Bogarts, but not with that team.
Winning it all makes it worth it. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the Windup. We do appreciate you. Follow us on all our social media at the Windup Show, I believe.
Yeah, at the wind-up show.
At the Windup Show. You can follow James at.
James Shiano. And when we get to 10,000 followers, Instagram, TikTok, giving away a signed MLB jersey.
There we go. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.